Here's a quick demo on setting up the employee lookups. So I'm logged in as High 5. I'm going to go in and nominate somebody. This is where you want to be able to type in an employee. So I have it set up so you have to type 3 characters and then it will do the lookup. So if I type in somebody's last name or something to do with their email address, click on that, add employee, it automatically shows up there. So you can see here, I didn't actually pick one, I just partially typed it in, so it's going to tell me that it didn't find it. So I'm going to type it in again, select it, and then add it. It's going to give me an error because it says you can't nominate yourself, which is good. Here I add somebody else. Again, if I only partially typed it in and hit this, it only sees the word Clay, so I have to actually select one of them that it can find and edit that. Removes are working. So what we want to do now is look at the code to set that up. Here's the page here. Here is the actual input on the page, which here it has a placeholder for search employee to nominate. We look at all that, we see that's what goes there. And so it's just a simple input. And how we're setting up all of our code is that we will have a form controller that will basically control that JSP page for us. And on that page, we're actually using a OATextField to interact with that input. And then we put on here that we want to set up the text field itself. Where are we? Here's a new text field. And basically that just gives us general functionality within the text field. There's no hub or anything set up to it, so it's basically just kind of free form right there. And then we go in and we actually create a type ahead by using one that's already set up in our employee delegate. So if we look at that here in just a second, we'll see how it kind of does all the lookup and ties in the bootstrap type ahead for us. The only input that we have to give that is a hub of employees, which in this case is our login employee hub, and that will basically say any employees in our same company. And the last piece that we'll do there is we will tell this text field that we created from the OATextField, we will tell it what type ahead to use, and it will build into the text field. It will automatically have all that bootstrap code and everything set up to do that. So if we look at the employee delegate, I set it up in the employee delegate to create the type ahead for us so that we don't have to have all the code every single time we need it. We can just call it and it will create it for us. And the code for that will automatically do all the setup for it. So here it actually tells us how to find the employees that you want to be able to search off of. So we're giving it our login, the employee login, which basically is who the user that's logged in, and then we're telling it the actual property path to find all the employees that they can search on. So we're saying, okay, from that employee, go to that employee's location, to the program. From the program, any locations or employees under that program are part of the search. So the next piece is actually within the type ahead. As you type stuff in and it displays it, it needs to know a match or not. So we got that set up. And then it has different ways of actually displaying it. So we can actually form how we want to display it. In this case, we're showing first name, last name, and then their email address. Some of the other programs are set up to have other custom information that goes in that. So within this same class employee delegate, we also have methods that will set that up for us. Again, so it's all in one place and reusable. A couple other things on the parameters for the type ahead. You can tell it the max results. So if you type in ABC, you don't want to bring 500 back or something like that. So it'll limit it to 35, which is fine. The other thing that we might want to do is actually have a filter. And this is just something that we do on all of that we have available for all of our hubs, so we can filter stuff out. So if we go back to the code on how this is set up, I went and actually turned that filter off let's see, did I do that? It's true. Oh, so I'm going to turn that back on. And we're basically saying that the employees that we're searching off of, can they get nominated? Are they flagged to allow for nominations? And it has to be true. So if you noticed in the employee delegate, the create type ahead, I had another overloaded method that you can also give it a filter for the employees that you wanted to be able to search off of. If we look at that, then it will automatically just include that filter here and build into that. It's automatically going to this equal filter will automatically do this check for us. So now if I go back to the page, and I got an OA reset here, which will basically recreate the page and create a new Java object that's controlling that we just looked at. So I'm going to do that. And now if I type in MAD, nothing comes up. And the reason why is because none of those employees are flagged to be able to receive nominations. So while we're here, I'm going to show one more thing for an e-card. This example here showed entering one employee at a time and then adding them to a list by using this add button. On the e-card, we have a different use where we can pick an e-card and go over here, and then part of its input is I can, again, within the same program, I can pick any employee. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one again. And if you noticed, what dropped down, what was displayed on the drop down is a little bit different than this. So that's some of the functionality configuration that you can do in there. You can limit it. So in this case, I still have one text field that I had to set up in the code. So if we look at the code, it's the HTML code. It's still just one input, and by setting up that text field just like we did of the other setup, we can actually give it of the values that it's storing. We can give it a hub. So here, if you notice, I can add more than one, and it's actually one input's allowing us to add, one or more, and then remove those this way. So this is the combination of being able to take a text field, HTML text field, and then we have the OA text field, which will allow the interaction between, what it's doing in the back end and stuff like that with the browser. And then it uses the Bootstrap type ahead, which again is the lookup, and then it uses this tagsinput to actually let you have more than one within it. So that's really helpful. If we look at the code for that, create eCard, there it is. So if you notice, this is just bare bones, very little. And then if we look at the create eCard form, and I'm going to go update this now, or after this call, but you can notice here that we have a type ahead, that we created that, and actually gave it the hub. And this text field, when we set it up, we told what the HTML ID is. We also told it what object it's working with, which hub of objects, which is create eCards, and then we're actually telling it which object or property it's filling up, which in this case, the 2 employees is a collection of employees. So just that information is enough to tell this component that you're allowed to have multiple ones, because we have a hub or a collection of employees that we're filling out. If it was just one, it wouldn't have the autocomplete. It would just allow for one to be in there. I'm sorry, it would still allow the autocomplete for the lookup, but it would only have you do one. And that's it for the demo.